and welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. Today I would like to discuss due process and the right to be heard in an HOA or condo association. In Washington State, I fought in the year 2018 to put due process in the laws, and I couldn't understand why Senator Jamie Peterson didn't want due process in the laws. As an attorney, I felt that he would understand why we as homeowners need due process added to the laws. So if you look at the definition of due process, which I'm going to read the Wikipedia definition of due process, it states, due process is the legal requirement that the government must respect all legal rights that are owed to a person. When a government harms a person without following that exact course of law, this is a due process violation which offends the rule of law. Well, if you don't have due process in the law, then they don't have to offer you your rights. Well, that's HOA and condo associations. They don't have to offer you any due process. That means you don't have the right that every other municipality has to give you. So if you get charged with a fine, they don't have to offer you due process. So as an attorney, I have to ask Jamie Peterson why. That is one of the biggest concerns I have. So a homeowner gets fined, they have the right to be heard. Well, that's not the same as due process. You are charging me with a crime and then asking me to come to a board that has accused me of a crime and allowing them to be jury, judge, and executioner. They have the right to offer you no appeal, just the right to be heard. So when I see violations, today I saw an 83-year-old man who was in the hospital being fined for 2 palm fronds in his front yard. This is not okay. He has not had the right to be heard even. And he does have a reason of why he can't be heard, and he is a senior. And to exploit a senior is also a violation of the law. So because he lives in an association, a condo association or a homeowners association, he doesn't have those same rights. As an attorney, I would think that all attorneys that represent these associations should be disbarred. They are not they think that these laws that they've made up, these uniform acts that they've made up, supersede the Constitution. Look, the Constitution was written way before the Uniform Act. The Uniform Act was not written until like the 90s, the 80s or the 90s. So the Constitution, both Washington and U.S. constitutions and other state constitutions, were written way before these uniform acts. So the legislators that have written these uniform acts that violate our due process rights should be disbarred. Those that voted for these uniform acts, that our attorneys, should be disbarred. Those attorneys that are HOA attorneys that are violating our constitutional rights should be disbarred. They are not doing their ethical duty as the rules of professional conduct require them to do. So they should be disbarred. Why are we allowing these attorneys to be above the law? We always say they shouldn't, nobody's above the law, but of course HOA and condo associations are acting as if they are above the law. And these attorneys and property managers that represent these associations are above the law. They have no penalties if they violate our rights. None, zero, zilch. They are held harmless. Attorneys and property managers are held harmless for violating our rights because the association has no worries. They can violate your rights as much as they want because Jamie Peterson, Senator Jamie Peterson, has written a uniform act that gives these associations the right to violate your constitutional rights. So I have to ask Senator Jamie Peterson, who is an attorney, how he can write these kinds of laws and not be disbarred. You can write laws that deny our due process rights and give all our rights away and yet still be an attorney. That seems to be a conflict of interest to me. So I have to ask again why these laws are valid above our constitutional rights. And Senator Peterson doesn't answer us. He just thinks that, oh, well, if I don't answer him, it's okay. So if you have problems with how your legislators are handling things, I think we should start calling them out by name. We need to start calling out the property managers and the attorneys who are violating our rights. We need to post those on the Attorney General's websites, and we need to post those on the Better Business Bureaus and any other public forum we can so that they stop violating our rights. Those that are members of the Community Associations Institute that think it's okay to lobby for liens and foreclosures non-judicially should be disbarred because they are not doing this with due process. They are doing this with no due process, with no evidence. They are advocating for no Sixth Amendment or 14th Amendment rights. I can add those to this so you will see how they advocate for it. I will add those slides into this video. They are advocating for no attorneys. So they don't want you to have any rights. They don't want to have any representation. And I'm telling you what, if you get a violation, I would take my association to small claims court. I know in Washington State, it's now $10,000 or less. Take these boards to small claims court. Start demanding the courts to represent the homeowners and not the associations who are violating the Constitution. Why are they allowed to violate the Constitution? Why would any legislators want them to violate our constitutional rights? I have to ask that. And Jamie Peterson, I know he has fought for people's constitutional rights before, and he believes that they shouldn't have to fight for one person at a time, and we shouldn't have to fight for one homeowner at a time. Homeowners should not be fighting big battles in court because their board decided to fine them for smoking in their backyard when they were in Utah at the time of the violation. We know this story, but Senator Peterson ignored that story. He said we didn't deserve due process, that we just had the right to be heard. And the board had the right to deny it, and they voted because he's given them the right to be a government. Well, that's wrong. You don't have the right to give an association the municipality rights. So I asked Senator Peterson to please go back and look at these laws and change them as he should. Legislators can change the laws at any time. They don't even have to wait for sessions to be started. You know that these laws are unconstitutional, and I actually demand that you go back and change these laws so that our civil rights aren't violated daily and that these rogue boards, attorneys, and property managers aren't allowed to profit from our demise. That's what I ask, and I hope I'll see you on the next one.